Gentlemen, and ladies, welcome to another week, another episode of the Medicine Ball Podcast. You could have chose to spend your timoleons anywhere, and you chose to spend them here with me. I appreciate it. This week's episode, Season 2, Episode 26, Shuney's View. That's right, Shuney's View. Welcome to another week, another episode of Medicine Ball Podcast with your boy LS3. If you're in the shape, at least your brain should be. Keeping up with, as I've been telling you guys on my social medias, in order to honor women for October, because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I have been getting powerful, positive young ladies to be my special guests. This week's guest is Miss Shuney. Now, Miss Shuney has a podcast that is available for all of you, which is called The Shuney's View. All right, you guys go check it out. She is on the mic. I'm gonna let her do her own thing. Miss Shuney, you there?
Hey, everybody. I'm here.
She's there. Hey, thank you very much. It's the first thing I want to say for your time and even coming on here to speak with us. I know you have some really dope things to say. Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Nah, no problem. So I'm gonna let you do your plug. Can you tell everybody, go ahead and tell them the title of the podcast and what it's about? Give them your little in reference to the podcast, and also throw out your social medias. Go ahead.
Okay, so my podcast is titled The Shuney View. The way my tagline is actually designed for happy life, engineered to last, because I feel that a lot of us lose sight of who we really are and we get sidetracked. So my podcast is to bring everyone back to, their first self.
Definitely. Now, would you say that's kind of like self-awareness, right?
It is definitely self-awareness.
No doubt. Now, the people who listen to it, you guys, I try to do my research, so she is definitely someone who's aligns with it. And I asked her, Miss Shuney, she's already interesting and amazing, but she has something interesting. I spoke to her. Could you speak on where you just came from about 2 weeks ago, just so they kind of know?
Oh, yes. Okay, so I just got back from Kuwait. I was there a little over a year. And this was my first deployment by myself. Because my first two deployments, I deployed with an actual unit and people that I knew. Whereas this time I deployed as a contractor. So I was everything I did was by myself. I had to, figure it out.
Yeah, I got to get some round of applause for. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm gonna clap just in case I can't add those applause. But I really salute that. I don't take that lightly, especially right now with what's going on. And the reason I asked you that, just so people kind of know, is because she talks about some very dope stuff, especially with being self-aware and self-care. So I kind of wanted to set up for you guys what her background is and where she's coming from, so you realize that she have experiences. Now, I always ask this: you are a mother, correct?
I am.
Do you mind just giving how many kids and the ages as well?
Yes, I have 2 boys. One actually just had his birthday 3 days ago. Yeah,
Libra man, he's dope. Yes.
Right, he's a Libra man. He just turned 11, and then I have my 15-year-old.
Okay. So you doing a lot, and I always say again, women, but especially Black women, are very, very strong. So you guys, just imagine, being in that situation and also having to deal with, having kids or whatnot and things of that nature. Did you want to shout out real quick before we, got a little bit more into it? And Facebook, go ahead and tell them, where you at on Facebook and what they can search and follow you and find you there.
Okay, so my Facebook is public and I'm the only one. You can find me under Shuney space Poos. That's spelled SHUNEY space Poos POOS.
All right, thank you, appreciate you spelling it out. Y'all heard it, Shuney Poos, SHUNEY POOS. Y'all check her out. Now, before we get into, what you're going to be talking about, I like to touch on a current event or something like that. So COVID, did you want to, how you feel about COVID, or, you want to touch on that current event so we can get some jewels out of you?
Yes. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
I think COVID changed everyone's lives. It doesn't matter what you were doing in your life, that has been changed. It's a new difference right now.
Absolutely.
And it's
Absolutely.
definitely something that I feel weighed on a lot of people's psyche. It's still weighing on a few people's psyche.
Absolutely. Facts.
Mine is which is one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it. Um
Well, before you get into it, let me ask you real quick. If you know, without being, well, we try to be transparent because there's definitely someone else. Would you got any examples of like some of the things that would kind of weigh on your mind? You know, I always talk about my grandmother all the time. My birthday party outing this Saturday, highly
mhm,
likely is going to be dubbed. So, like,
mhm.
share some of yours. Like, what were some of the things that might have been weighing on your mind?
Okay, so I was leaving the United States going back to Kuwait when the whole COVID thing
Mm,
first started.
real problems. Hold on, let me pause you for a second before you go into that. Now, we over here in the U.S. Anybody having any COVID problems? Go
Um
ahead. Say that again so they can hear you. Go
wait,
ahead.
what was the question?
No,
Say
no, no.
what?
No, it wasn't a question. I was just trying to make it clear to the people listening that before we even go into your problems, like just to give them how dynamic it is, all of our problems are starting from here in home. The
Right.
first thing you said was I was getting ready to leave the US. So I just want people to know, like, how heavy that's serious. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, it's definitely heavy and serious. Okay, so I'm leaving and I get back to Kuwait and my kids were supposed to be coming to visit me like within a few weeks, but
Wow.
there was a travel ban.
See, this is good stuff. Go ahead. Go ahead. See, you talking about something. It was just some stuff laying on my. Go ahead. It was a travel ban for them coming to see you.
Right. So my kids
Wow.
couldn't come see me. They had just gotten their passports done and everything before I got back to Kuwait. And we were gonna move there too. Like that was about to be life. So the travel
Oh,
ban
hold on, hold
happened.
on, hold on. I just want to ask. You said you were about to move there
Yes.
permanently.
Yes. Like well, at least for 3 to 5 years.
Wow. Right before the pan. Okay, go ahead. Continue. I
Yes.
just wanted to clarify because, ladies and gentlemen, I ain't know this. You feel me? So go ahead. Continue.
Right. So that happened and then our base got put on lockdown. Like
Mm,
certain people weren't allowed to leave and come off of base. Like
wow.
come back onto base.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I went from being completely free to being confined to like just being on base and they shut down like all the restaurants and the
Wow.
recreational centers. Like I was heavy in the gym, like so I didn't
Oh, they
have
shut
that
down y'all's gym even with you being deployed.
everything.
How
Yeah,
y'all stay in shape?
the man, we all figured it out.
Wow. See,
Like
adaptable though. Adaptable though.
yeah. So that all of those things weigh heavy on you. Like I was supposed to
So,
come home twice. Like it was
oh
a
wow.
lot.
Oh my gosh, I'm not even thinking about that. So it wasn't that you was just trying to hang out over there. You've been having to you've been having to stay over there to let it clear up.
Yes.
Wow. So I just want to be clear because it's just like such a stark contrast. Like the average person over here is worried about their job. They're worried about food and things of that nature. You have a job, you're at work,
Right.
and it's
Right.
probably not the best, but at least you have food, but you worried about getting home.
Right.
So that was really worrying. And I'm sure that in some of that as well, like you had to kind of prioritize yourself or decide what was most important, or like,
Mhm.
could you speak more on that? Like, did you have situations to where, a lot of people were kind of asking you for favors or leaning on you? Because I know that's what we're about to get ready to talk about. So I'll let you kind of speak into that and then we'll transition in.
Right. Well, thank God I didn't have anybody coming to me for anything like that cuz I definitely wasn't in the right mental space to even be able to help them if they
Okay.
did.
Okay.
But my main concern was, being away from my family and like, everybody that I care about and love.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
So go ahead and speak on that because like, and you might not realize it, but and this is humans. A lot of times we say something and we don't even catch it. But what you just said there was I wasn't in the right mind space to
Right.
help anyone. So we talking today, Miss Shawnee just wants to talk about, self-care, and
Mhm.
go ahead and elaborate what you want to talk on and kind of speak on it. And I'll ask you some questions and let's kind of go through it from there.
Okay. So while I was over there, like I said, my family and friends are like, really important to me, but they're so far away.
Right.
So I did, kind of deal with some people's emotional stressors, but this is when I had to really like hone in on my self-care. Like I said, no one really wanted me like to be a shoulder as far as financially, which was
Right.
an old issue that I had.
Right. Right.
But this time it seemed like, people were kind of emotional, but it wasn't overbearing. But I
Okay.
still had to
I can see.
remind myself, that I have to make sure that my emotional needs are met too, so that
So
I
let's get into
could
that.
help.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get into that. And like, how can people, and this is something I always talk about, I'm working on, how can we make sure that we're respectfully putting ourselves over people when it's necessary? Like, go ahead and give me some tips. Like you said, you had to make sure that you were putting your emotions over. Give us some tips. Let's talk about it.
Right. Um, I think that would probably be like a double negative if you say respectfully be
Okay.
selfish.
And you know what? I realize, and I'm, that's why I'm gonna let you tell your story, because that's my first issue. Sometimes you
Right.
can't respectfully do it. So go ahead. I'm gonna let you do
Yeah,
your thing.
there's no such thing as respectfully putting yourself over others.
Okay.
It's something that we should do naturally. You have to put yourself first, because if you think about it, if you ask somebody for something and they tell you no, they probably don't even think about it. They don't
You're
think
right.
twice about it. They just say
You're right.
no, and that's what it is, and you accept it. But for a lot of us who don't put self-care first, we won't say no to somebody. We'll feel
You're
bad
right.
about saying
Facts.
no,
Facts. Facts. How
and
can we
that's
get
not
better
good.
though? Like, how did you get better? How can we get better? Or what are some things that we could do to try to kind of like get over that?
You have to connect with others to get different ideas, which is kind of what we're doing right now.
Okay. Okay.
um
Okay.
but the way that I got through it, which I still go through it, is practice. Practice, practice,
That's what I always
practice.
say. Exactly.
Yeah, you have to start somewhere. You start with baby steps, and with time it's not hard for you to say no anymore. Like, it's natural. It's a part of your vocabulary that you're not afraid to use.
That's factual. That's factual. So we got to start practice. So somewhere at some point, us, and I'm guilty, who want to be over pleasers, have to
Hmm.
start saying no, even if it's the little stuff. Is that what
Right.
you're saying? Okay. Okay. So piggybacking off of that, and again, I'm asking questions because I'm trying to learn. Right.
Hmm.
Uh, what about the feeling bad part? What about the feeling bad part if you say no, even though we shouldn't? And I understand you, because you're right. It's a lot of times when I like get out of my emotions and get logically, I'll be like, man, I shouldn't even feel bad for that. Is there something that you do or something that, we could try to implement or practice to, kind of get over that?
I read a lot, and one of the books that I read, was it
I like this.
Seven Habits of Highly Effective People?
7 habits
Um,
of highly effective. Okay.
yeah, one of the steps is to begin with the ends in mind. So what I do is, if someone asks me for something, and I'll think about, okay, am I going to be available? Do I have what it is that they need? I'll run through all of these questions, and I think about the end result. Like, is this going to put me in a financial bind? Is this going to take me away from, my kids? Is this going to throw off
Facts.
my priorities? And once I run through that, then I'm like, you know what? No.
Okay.
Because if it's going to affect me and the
And
people
I'm writing
that,
these down.
really matter, then I have to say no.
Okay, begin with the end in mind, and you know what? That's really dope, and I want to get maybe one or two more out of you if you have them,
Mhm.
because I'm gonna circle back around to something that we did agree on as far as making sure you're okay, even if no one's asking anything of you. So that's number. I like that. Begin with the end in mind. So I'm gonna definitely practice that. You got another one for us, or?
Um,
Well, I'll
oh,
count practice
yes.
as a matter of fact as the first one. So first
Uh-huh.
one is practice, because the practice makes perfect. So
Right.
you're right with that. Oh, so we'll go practice.
Even though nothing and no one is
It's
perfect.
perfect. I got you. I got you. Practice how you want to play.
Right.
Basically, if you want to get better at it.
Right.
Okay. All
Right.
right. So okay, that's two we got for you. You know, I like to do things in threes on my show, and my name is LS3. I'm the third. You got one more
Okay,
jewel for
got
us?
you. The other one that I kind of hone in on is, do you want the pain of discipline or do you want the pain of regret? So that kind of
That's
ties
deep. I
into the
like that.
first two.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to know that I tried to do my work because the things that she just said, even just the last one. Do you want the plane of discipline or what? What was the second part?
Or the
Or
pain of regret.
the pain of regret. I talk about this all the time. I talk about discipline all the time, and I talk about practicing to get discipline is as simple as you see those dishes in the dishwasher. You don't want to do it, but you go ahead and do it. So just the fact of you practice talking about practice and discipline, which is something I'm real big on, I think that is really, really dope. So just to touch on those, and I'm gonna go back through them for y'all. I know y'all like for me to and I said this, and you could kind of speak on this.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the situation where, somebody asks you something, we have to make sure that we're in a position to honestly help that person, or we're really not only doing ourselves a disservice, we're doing them a disservice. And we can't really do that if we don't say no sometime. Or do you agree? Or what's your feeling on that?
Yeah, that is true. Sometimes we're not in the space to be able to do that. Was
Right.
that your question? Okay, yeah, you have to be in that mental space to be able to help other people. Because if you drain yourself trying to help someone else,
Right.
more than likely they're healthy enough to walk away from whatever it was that you helped them with,
Exactly.
and you're
Exactly.
left drained, and you have to build yourself back up.
Wow.
So,
That's
and
profound, man.
it's true. Like, we all do this. Like, there's no one, even the most selfish person, they may do it too. But all of us do this at some time or another in our lives. And that's why we have to be aware of self care. Some people feel like being selfish is bad, and it's not. Some people may, I mean, even if someone is selfish to the extent that they don't do anything for anyone
Right.
else,
Right.
that's their prerogative. Like, let them do
Facts.
that, live and
Facts.
let live, and just do what you're supposed to do. Like, stop
Right.
being so worried about them.
And I just wanted to touch on something you had said, and something that I kind of see in it. Like when you said chances are they have the strength to walk away from whatever it is,
Yeah,
sometimes not helping them will get them into a position to where they get it done. And it may be the best for them to let them do that. Because
it's
you're right.
true.
And I forget that. Like sometimes they can really get up out of that if you don't help them, what are they going to do? And
It's
they might make
true.
it through it. So that's dope. That's dope. That's really dope. That's really dope. So I just want to run through those real quick for everybody. The three things that we learned today from Miss Shawnee. Number one, practice. And we're talking about, putting yourself above others, because it is very necessary, and it's necessary probably more than we like to. So for me as well, the first thing is to practice. The second thing that she said was to begin with an end in mind, which is dope. Do you want, like, how you want it to play all the way out? I always talk about that when I come to talk about reactions. And the last one, which I'm gonna stick with because I'm big on discipline, is do you want, or remember, if you want the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Yo, those are bars. I appreciate you really left us with something. Hey, I want you.
Bars.
Yeah, those are bars right there. I always say that. Hey, I want to give you a chance to if you got anything else you want to say, and also plug your podcast again, spell it out for them good people.
Okay. As far as my podcast, it can be found on all platforms, to include Apple and my favorite, Spotify. You can catch me on Mondays at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, okay. All
Um,
right, and y'all check it out. And that's the is it
it's
Shawnee's view
it's
or the Shawnee's view?
it's the Shawnee View.
The Shawnee view.
Yes, yes. Hashtag the Shawnee View, and that is spelled TheShuneyView.
All right. Thank you. And of course, I'm gonna link all this information. Miss Shawnee, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Hopefully, we can work together some more going forward. And I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Nah, no problem.